Sure enough, we do have some NFL news today, if you can call this news. It's a report, and it's a report out of Miami that has to do with former New Orleans Saints coach Sean Payton, and that is that Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, citing an unnamed source that's apparently close to Sean Payton, says that Sean Payton wants to coach again in 2023, or at least that he's interested, and he lists the Dolphins, the Chargers, and the Cowboys as teams that can maybe draw his interest. Now, this article says that Sean Payton wants specifically a few things. One of those things is warm weather. He wants a roster that can contend, and he wants control over personnel decisions. And the three teams named here are interesting to me, Musso, because if you look at the odds, at least according to DraftKings right now, Brandon Staley, the Chargers head coach, is 14-1 to win Coach of the Year. He is the betting favorite, and he's going into only his second year in LA. Mike McDaniel has not even coached a game with the Dolphins yet, but he's 16-1 to win Coach of the Year, right behind Staley, tied with Nathaniel Hackett of the Broncos for the second shortest odds. Mike McCarthy, 300-1, or 30-1, I should say, a little bit more out there, but apparently he does have the support of Jerry Jones and the Cowboys management. So all of these jobs very much occupied right now, and Sean Payton for sure won't coach this year, but we're going to continue to hear reports like this, I think. And I think, unfortunately, if the Dolphins or the Chargers or the Cowboys lose a game, we're going to hear like Sean Payton reports and start seeing the tweets and all of that. So what do you think of this report?
Well, first of all, I thought the title of the story was hilarious because the title was you should all cheer, or you should all cheer for McDaniel, but here's a Sean Payton update just in case. Like, basically, you should all want the new first-year head coach to succeed, but just in case he sucks, here's an update on the coach that we really wish was in South Beach. So that made me laugh. But it's interesting, the three coaches that they named. I can't see the Chargers parting ways with Brandon Staley. I mean, that is very much a playoff contending team. If they do not make the playoffs this year, that is not a reason to fire him, especially considering the division that they play in. That is clearly you just want Sean Payton and you're going about it any way you can, which I don't think is the way to do this.
No.
Kind of the same thing with Miami. Right? That's why that headline, or whatever you want to call it, is so funny to me. Because it's like, yeah, let's root for the first-year head coach. But you know what? If he doesn't make the playoffs and you have a shot to get Sean Payton, let's do that. And
hey, new girlfriend, I like you a lot, but if this other hot girl becomes available.
Exactly, right? Yes, that is exactly the analogy there. And that's a real bad look for the Miami Dolphin franchise, considering everything that just went down with the previous staff, right? I mean, it's just that's a sign of dysfunction to me. Which brings me to the Cowboys, where I still think it's most likely.
Yeah.
Because McCarthy, you already had the disappointment of last year. Again, I think it'd be premature to, pull the trigger there if you're Dallas, but I wouldn't put it past them at all. I think it would make less sense for the Chargers, and then definitely for the Dolphins. But I mean, it's just I don't know. Maybe that's just kind of being in Louisiana and with the New Orleans Saints and whatnot. And you always heard about the Cowboys, and that just always feels like the destination that I automatically lean there. But Mike McCarthy's also not, I guess maybe not as much as expected of him as the other two. Maybe, I don't know. I think that's wild that a first-year head coach in Mike McDaniel has shorter odds to win Coach of the Year than Mike McCarthy.
It's just because of the way things ended.
Especially with the roster that Mike McCarthy has. We went through it yesterday on Win Total Wednesday looking at the NFC East. The Cowboys on paper are still the best team in that division.
Yeah, and a really good DC that maybe could be a head coach again soon in Dan Quinn. And like you said, I think things just ended really not good with McCarthy in the playoff game there. But like we said in the beginning of the segment, every time that they've asked Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, whoever about it, they said that they support him. And I don't think it's just because we're in Louisiana. Also, Sean Payton worked there. He worked for Jerry Jones before. He was their OC when Parcells was still there. So he has that common connection. He lives in Dallas, and him flirting with that franchise definitely predates Mike McCarthy. So I do agree that that's the most likely destination. Brandon Staley, kind of similar to McCarthy. Things didn't end well. They missed out on the playoffs. He called the timeout, game would have tied. The Raiders wanted the tie. They would have both went to the playoffs, but Raiders ended up winning that game. So some fans are upset with him, but he's done a pretty good job there. I will point out that Joe Lombardi is there, Sean Payton's XOC, so that is one common link, but I don't think that job's coming open anytime soon. And I think that Sean Payton, when it comes to his point of view, what he wants to do, he probably will coach again. I think he wants to coach again. He probably will, but it would have, if one of these jobs of one of these teams don't become open, I think the question becomes, would Sean Payton be willing to coach kind of a lesser organization? And then even if the answer is yes, the Saints could still get compensation in a trade, because whenever Sean Payton does decide to come back, if and when, the Saints still have his rights for 3 years after that point. Like whenever he comes to the NFL, the Saints have his rights for 3 more seasons. So they would have to get something back in trade. And President tells us that they'd probably get something back pretty good. So I don't think any of these jobs are coming open anytime soon. And even if they do, it's going to be a good thing for the Saints somewhat, because they'll get something back.
I mean, I think the Chargers one is the least likely. Cowboys and Dolphins, that makes sense. All of those are kind of sticky situations. And you're right, the Saints will eventually get something back, because Sean Payton's not going to stay out of coaching for 3 years. Like I can't see. If people are reporting, Sean always likes to keep things close to the vest, right? I mean, we all watched his relationship with the media here for years. But somebody got that from somewhere around Sean Payton. I mean, that's not just made up out of thin air. So, I mean, I do believe that, probably 2023 he will want to coach. I mean, especially maybe depending on how the TV thing goes. Look, Drew was in TV at NBC for a year and left that, and then he's close to having another deal, but it's just like that doesn't always go how you think it will.
No, it doesn't. And like I said, whenever he does return to the NFL, those 3 years will remain. And we've seen this kind of thing before. Like President tells it, the Saints will probably get at least 2 first-round picks, if not more, just based on the trades that we have seen. And in 2002, we remember that the Raiders got 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and $8 million for John Gruden, who they traded to the Buccaneers. He goes on to win the Super Bowl, so maybe didn't end well for the Raiders. And he won that Super Bowl against the Raiders, by the way, but still got a hefty haul there for John Gruden. Then Bill Belichick originally was hired as head coach of the New York Jets, and the Jets apparently promised him full control, like personnel decisions, being able to make them. But once he was hired, he realized that he didn't really have that much control. So he resigned. He ended up going to the Patriots, but the Jets still had his rights at that point, and the Jets ended up getting a first-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a seventh-round pick for Bill Belichick. Probably should have just given him control in that situation, but again, got a fourth, a seventh, and a first. Pretty good haul. And then this is one I forgot about, Musso, but in the late 90s, Mike Holmgren was considered one of the best coaches in the NFL. He led Green Bay to that Super Bowl title with Brett Favre, and they ended up trading him to the Seahawks, and they got a second-round pick in the 1999 draft for Mike Holmgren, the Packers did. And then 2006, one that's a little bit more forgettable, the Chiefs sent a fourth-round pick to the Jets in exchange for Herm Edwards, the current Arizona State head coach. We'll see how much longer he's there, but he was in Kansas City for 3 years. So we've seen this kind of thing before, and John Gruden, the biggest fish here, got 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and $8 million cash. So present day, even if Sean Payton's out of coaching for a few years, I think the Saints are getting at least 2 first-round picks.
It'll be a haul, because there's just been immediate interest in Sean Payton after he retired. I mean, he's going to be the hottest name in the coaching carousel every year until he comes back to the NFL. So I mean, it's going to be a haul that the Saints get when that time comes.
Do you think, from the point of view from Saints fans, it's messed up if he only takes 1 year off and goes and coaches another team? Because everybody was really forgiving when he was stepping away, and even if he left for a couple of years and then changed his mind and realized he wanted to come back, that would be one thing. But I think it is kind of a slap in the face of Saints fans if he only sits out 1 year and then ends up coaching in one of these really nice cities that have a really nice roster. Like, that would be a little messed up.
It would be if you got nothing for it. That's the, like, you're going to get a haul. Like that, it'll probably be something similar to the John Gruden thing. Like, it might not be that, but it'd probably be similar. I mean, I'm with you. I think you could get 2 1s for Sean Payton. Why the hell not? I mean, if there's been that much interest already, like from the week after he retired, people are reaching out to him. That's not going away. So I hear what you're saying, and it's gonna suck regardless seeing him go coach somewhere else. But it doesn't matter if it's 2, 3, whatever. It just that part doesn't matter. That you just rip the Band-Aid off with that, and if you get 2 first-round picks and other accommodations for it, then that that helps the wound heal a little bit.
It does, and
in my opinion.
And that's fair. And it also depends on how the Saints are doing at the time with Dennis Allen. I think, like,
Yeah.
I just don't. I see some parallels, and it's tripping me out a little bit to Nick Saban when he left LSU, and then he kicked LSU's butt for many years. I just don't want the Saints to go through that. And they would get a haul. It would be good, and hopefully those first-round picks would become some really good players. But we saw it with the president there, with John Gruden and with the Raiders. Is it worth it? Will their first-round picks really be better than having Sean Payton as your head coach? I guess only time will be able to tell. But like I said, this is something that I think we have not seen the last of, Musso. I think every time the Chargers lose a game, every time the Dolphins lose a game, every time the Cowboys lose a game, this will come up. And do you remember where Sean Payton ended up getting a job, studio? Isn't he with Fox, or is he still a free agent?
I'm not entirely sure.
But we'll see him on a television. We'll see him on a television screen somewhere, I'm sure. And
no, yeah, absolutely. I want to say Fox, but let's look it up because that's not what I want to do. Hold on.
That's what the Saints were saying when Sean Payton stepped away. But
yeah, okay, there, yeah. Sean Payton to join Fox Studio Show in 2022.
There you go.
That was it from May.
There you go.
I couldn't remember, but that's where he's going.
So we will see him on a television screen. They might ask him about this kind of stuff like playfully, but he'll be doing some commentating this year. We'll see when he decides to do some coaching again. But this report did link Sean Payton, or say that Sean Payton would be interested in coaching the Cowboys, the Chargers, or the Dolphins if those jobs came available. They're not available right now.
Drew Brees might end up at Fox as well, for what it's worth, which that'd be fun.
That would.
Of course, Drew would be calling games. He'd be on like the number 2 broadcast for Fox. Sean would be in studio.
We'll see where he ends up coaching. We'll see where he ends up on television.